To me, enough is enough. They just wanna hurt us. Bring us down. Bring us down. Enough is enough. We won't let them hurt us. Bring us down. Bring us down. Enough is enough. You won't bring us down. Bring us down. Enough is enough.
Hey guys, welcome back to the Indie Wrestling Corner with another episode of Under the Ropes. I'm your host as always, the queen of the Indies, Tiffany, and we finally broke 200. So this is episode 201. We're really excited. This is a long overdue episode. So welcome my friend, Ryan Radix. How are ya?
I'm good. How are you?
I'm good. I'm excited that you're here, that we finally get to chat. Like
Yes.
I said, long overdue. It's funny because I've talked about you a lot, whether it's during podcasts or off podcasts, and I'm like, I gotta get Ryan on this podcast. So like I said, I'm glad that you're here. So
Yeah, I'm glad to be here.
yes. So guys, if you're new here to the Under Rope series, here I interview everything independent wrestling, whether it's wrestlers, referees, backstage. I got you covered. If you guys got questions for Ryan, I'm sure he'll be more than happy to answer all of your questions. Please feel free, drop it into the chat. Make sure you also share the stream and hit that like button. And if you're listening to this later, thank you guys so much. So, well, let's break it down. You know, it's like how I like to do it here on this podcast. So let's go back to basics and let's talk about like how you got into professional wrestling.
So, I mean, just like, everybody else, longtime fan, always watching it, never missed an episode. But to be honest, my story differs from a lot of people because I didn't think I was ever going to be a wrestler. Like, never would have thought, obviously, like, I liked watching the shows, all that. But the idea of me being in the ring myself was never a possibility. Because at 16 years old, I ended up getting an autoimmune disorder, which I've talked about. I like to just be transparent, open about it. I contracted ITP, which is like a blood clot issue type of disorder. So pretty much when I like bruise, I get like egg-shaped bruises on my body. Or if I bleed for a lot more than the average person because my blood doesn't clot. Mm-hmm. So obviously that makes wrestling very, very hard. Right. And I ended up going to different doctors and trying all these different medications to see if they could stabilize my levels. And they told me you're pretty much beat. They're like, the possibility of you being a wrestler is pretty low, if any. And I didn't give up. I stayed persistent. And I ended up finding the right medication for me. I started feeling good, started feeling normal. I was even on like anabolic steroids, and my face like blew up a tick. Oh yeah, like the whole 9 yards. Yeah. Going in high school, like when people would see my face, like they call me an alien because my face was messed up. Yeah, I was breaking out in acne. But still, the possibility of me like getting in the ring, I didn't see being possible. And believe it or not, I actually went to high school with Steve Sanders. So of all people, like we went to the same high school, and I didn't really know him. Right. He ended up posting a picture of like independent wrestling ring that it just so happened to be at the H2O building. Mm-hmm. I hit him up and I was like, yo, where is this? We ended up talking, and make a long story short, I ended up signing up to OTW, which was at the building before H2O. I ended up signing up, training there in July of 2014. And as they say, the rest is history.
It's crazy, right? It's so
Yeah.
insane. Let me give love in the chat. Sean's in the chat. What's up, Sean? Much love.
My man Sean.
Captain Dave's in the chat. What's going on, Captain
Hell yeah.
Dave? All the love, all the love. Yeah, so it was funny because we were talking off air. We were saying like there's a GCW show going on into the H2O building right now.
Yeah.
So we got if you watch this later, we appreciate you. So I'll
Yes, for
catch
sure.
up on the rest of the matches later. I watched like a little bit before we did this podcast. So, but you and me actually, we got to talk a little bit like the last show, and we were talking like behind the scenes, and I was saying like I can kind of relate in a different way. I have a different condition, I have a nerve condition, and it's one of those things that I like started that I had so many surgeries on my ankle, and then what happened is I went back to work too soon for the surgery, and somebody thought I was milking the situation because I was walking around with a cane just so that people can kind of stay away from me and not touch
Right.
me. And then the guy grabbed the cane from me and I twisted my foot, and then so that was fun. I really like rolled my foot really, really bad, which caused something called RSD. So I have a nerve condition that started out in my ankle that spreads randomly. It could go full body eventually. Knock on
my
wood.
God.
Yeah, it's
Yeah.
crazy. So it's like, when like you were talking about this, like there's so many conditions, and I give a lot of credit because what I live with, and to watch you guys do what you do, like I give you guys so much freaking credit. And
Oh, yeah.
it's insane. So so I feel you. I definitely nobody would know that about me because I make sure nobody knows that really about me like
Right.
that, unless you really know me.
Right.
So it's just one of those things you don't want, not like you don't want a pity party from people or whatever like that, because it's like you gotta live your life.
So that was pretty much like the complication in my head. Is like, do I make it known? Do I not tell people? But I was like, it got to a point where I was getting injured so frequently, training, wrestling. I was wrestling like 3 times a week doing OTW, and like it got to a point where we didn't really make it a part of my like on-screen character at OTW,
Mm-hmm.
but coming back as Ryan Radix and all, I obviously I don't have the most bookings due to my limitations. I stay pretty much doing my own thing. Very different path than a lot of other wrestlers. I'm aware of that, but I feel like it was just good to be transparent. And if I inspire somebody one day, because I was the legitimate story of somebody being told like you can't, you won't, and you shouldn't.
Mm-hmm.
Literally, like even from people in high school. Like I mean, when I first started wrestling, I was 99 pounds soaking wet. I had short hair. I looked like a kid. I was 16. I acted like a kid. And it got to the point that like my trainer, Brian Johnson, was like, dude, you look so young. Like, we can't send you out there getting your ass beat by a bunch of grown men. Like, we kind of have to do something with you. So they put me under a mask. And like, you come this whole way, like you work so hard to get to where you're at, and to be told like, yeah, we're going to cover your face up with a mask and you're going to wear a shirt because like the idea of your body like disgusts me type of deal. Like it was a tough pill to swallow. I was called Valiente. I wrestled under Valiente from 2015 to 2018. I wasn't the biggest fan of it, to be honest, but I ended up really falling in love with the character because it made me appreciate so much of what I do love about wrestling, the character. I ended up becoming more reliant on my body language because I couldn't use my face. My face was covered, so I was using my body language as being very expressive. It taught me to be a character. It taught me to be larger than life. And, after a couple of years of trying with Valiente, I ended up getting over with the crowd. And to me, seeing what I originally didn't want to do turn into something that ended up being pretty cool and people really liked at OTW was a very big accomplishment for me, for sure.
Yeah. No, it's wild. And it's just funny because like before I even knew this, like about you with your condition and everything like that, because I would always say, but like, damn, I was like, Ryan should be like everywhere, like, and I'm like, he's so good in the ring, and it's like one of those things that like, I hope continues on, and I love like seeing you at all the Sean shows, which is great. And then like obviously like this weekend's a big H2O weekend between Sean show and H2O, and then you're gonna be on one of those, which we'll get into later.
Yeah, for sure.
So but so I like I say, this is why I do these podcasts, so like we can learn a little bit about you. So all right, so let's talk about this. So obviously, like I said, like I've been at a bunch of shows, like watch, do live and stuff, but for that fan that listens to this podcast, never seen you wrestle before, what is the go-to match that you would recommend for them to watch to become an instant fan?
That's a good question. My personal favorite is me versus Dylan McKay from I think it was SHP and Justice for All. It was like a September show of last year. Um, it was my first like main event on IWTV. Big blow off to a story that I worked very hard with. Sean worked very hard for. Dylan McKay worked very hard for. So to see like come to fruition in the main event and like I stepped out of my comfort zone. I like to do the more old school. I'm like, let's do like let's work a body part type of deal. And then like you got McKay who's like, no, how about I do a shooting star press off the apron like through a door? And I was like, yeah, like it's time and a place. Main event, I'll sack it. How about thumbtacks? I'm like, all right, pal, hold on. I'm just like I think you're like relax. But yeah, to me like that was awesome. But like the question isn't what's your favorite match, because that is my favorite match.
You're right.
But like if someone watches that, they're like, oh my god, this Ryan Radix dude is like a badass. He's doing thumbtacks and doors and trash cans and chairs to the head.
Right.
That's not the typical. I probably would go more with me and Ryan Redfield from February weekend at Sean's night 2, or I really like me and Austin Luke from like I think it was the following month in like March or April. So either one of those two for sure. Yeah, because like that was more my style.
Yeah, no, it's funny because that was like one of the matches like you and Dylan that I wanted to like definitely talk about. So I'm glad that like you brought that up, and just like you guys are friends, like a bunch of like your close friends outside of the ring, and like working backstage. Anybody that listens to the the Indie Wrestling Corner, they've watched like all my Indie Talk episodes where I'm backstage and I'm chatting with you guys and stuff. So it's like me being back there and like watching you guys interact, building your matches of like how you're setting things up and watching the minds turn. It's mind blowing, and I know not a lot of people get this privilege, and I appreciate the hell out of it that anybody lets me to come backstage. But like my mind is like amazed, like just watching you guys. So even when recently Dylan and Matt Morris were wrestling, and then like he was even like running it through with you after he ran his match down with Matt DeMorris, and I was like, oh, this is awesome. But to watch you guys, like you said, like here's Dylan wanted to do all these crazy flips and let's do doors and let's do thumbtacks and stuff, but it makes a very good mesh match. It
does for sure. Oh yeah, and that's something I'm extremely grateful for, is like my time away from the ring. Because after OTW ended, I was like, I'm done. I tapped away. Then I came back and did H2O for a little bit, but I was Ryan Radix. But if you watch like the couple matches I did for H2O, it's on IWTV. I don't recommend watching them because I don't look like that. I look completely different. I was like a shell of myself. I wasn't really me. I was just Ryan Radix, the guy. Like nothing really to me. So I took a break from wrestling, and during that time, I developed so many awesome friendships with like Sean Henderson, Dylan McKay, Marcus Mathers, that's my boy. Like I became so close to these guys, and they appreciate a different viewpoint of wrestling. Like I have a very different viewpoint from being trained under old time wrestling. I kind of like have a more old school mindset, and I look for more of the psychology elements and look for what makes sense, and placement and footwork, and like I said, facial expressions, body language, that kind of stuff. And it is cool to me where like Mathers and McKay, they'll be like, does this make sense? Like, should I do this here? Like, to me, during that time, especially when I took a break from wrestling, to hear them not only like, ask for my advice, then take it and implement it, it's pretty cool because, it's one thing someone telling you like, oh, you get wrestling, you understand, but it's another thing than seeing them actually go and do it.
Right.
It's like it means a lot to me for sure, because I can't do it, so I might as well pass the knowledge on to somebody else, right?
No, definitely. So no, that helps a lot. So, it's funny because like, where was it? I have it here. I'm gonna like bring it now because it was actually Ryan Redfield, Big Red. He gave me a question for you guys, so we're gonna jump into that. I'm gonna move my questions around here. So, but he wanted to talk. He said he wanted you to talk about the history of you guys with Austin Eddie and him at the H2O building.
Big Red asked that?
Yep.
That's my dude. So pretty much at the end of OTW, Brian Johnson, Justin Pussard, they were doing Ring of Honor. They were doing more of that stuff. And at that point, I was kind of not mentally burnt out of wrestling, but physically burnt out of wrestling. Like I would get a nosebleed every match. So I took more of a trainer route. I wouldn't be actually doing the training. I would be doing like the trainer route. So I was, at that time, it was like Big Red, Austin Luke, Some other guy, but he didn't end up actually wrestling much longer after that.
Mm-hmm.
So I was like tasked with responsibility of training these guys. I don't know how to train. I was kind of like following a formula of like what I was kind of trained. I didn't really know, and I felt like, to be honest, Austin, Luke, and Redfield kind of got the short arm there because the company's kind of on its way out. They're doing other things. They kind of took the back burner, but I took it as like a huge responsibility. Like these two people are like trusting me with their wrestling career, and like I'm going to do whatever I can to make it a positive experience for them.
Right.
And you know, and admittedly, like I feel like people didn't really give Red a fair shot. I mean, I remember when I first saw him in the ring, he actually like legit couldn't do a leapfrog. He couldn't jump and touch his toes. He would trip over his own 2 feet. He didn't have much like hand-eye coordination, but I was determined, and so was he. Like I was determined to like, I'm gonna make sure this guy is something because he wants it. Like, and to me, I don't give a shit what your feet are doing, your arms are doing. As your mind is there. Like he was so determined, and I commend the hell out of him for that. And to be someone that like really helped him in the beginning stages, and then of course once the building shut down and Tremont took over the building, like he continued and he excelled. And oh man, to see him and Austin where they're at now, like I genuinely am. Like I'm so proud of them because I saw where they came from. And yeah, they're killing it. I'm so proud of them.
Yeah, it's amazing. And I always say like those two, when they get in the ring together, I feel like it's very different, right? Like, you know, they have amazing matches, like it, you know, like wherever it is. But when it's them, okay, and I always say this is like it's the fight forever that I need to have with them, right? It's like the Kevin Owens and the Sami Zayn to me of Austin and Ryan. You know, so it's great. I love, even like myself, like the last couple of years, just like watching these guys, and the growth is absolutely amazing. So
yeah, proud of them.
But that's the nice thing too that I also say about you know, H2O, right? Like, and I've said this with other wrestlers that, you know, don't come from there, and like I've been behind the scenes at other schools, and you see, like, let's say there's one particular trainer at that school, whatever, but then you see all the students, they're mimicking, like you see it that they're that student. Yeah, you could be oh, that's so-and-so student, right?
Yeah, for sure.
But when it comes to the H2O building and being in there, everybody's very different.
No, they are, for sure. And that's a testament to H2O, testament to Matt, what they're doing there. Like, if I had someone that reached out to me, he's like, hey, I want to be a wrestler. Do you recommend any places? Mm-hmm. Definitely recommend H2O. Doing something right. The fact that they're on IWTV all the time, it's constant exposure. And Matt's a great dude. Matt has been absolutely excellent to me in every way, shape, and form. Yeah. I can't repay him enough. So, yeah, H2O is definitely the place to be if you want to be a wrestler.
Definitely check it out. All right, let me give love into this chat. On Twitch, we see Thick Witch. She says the Ryan Radix. What's up? How are ya?
What's up?
Bob in the chat says, hardest chop you ever received in your career.
It came right to my mind. So I don't know if you're aware of this. Wasn't really like gonna go out of my way to bring it up, but since you asked, do you remember when I got brought in for JCW?
Oh yeah.
Yeah, that would be it. So pretty much, for those that did not know, Brett hit me up and Brett was like, hey, got a spot for you on JCW. And I was like, yeah, I mean, whatever, I'm down for whatever. The squash match, 5 minutes. Okay, whatever. Show up to the building, and literally Brett goes up to me. He gets Josh Bishop. And if you guys don't know who Josh Bishop is, I'm 6 foot tall. And this guy's like 7 foot, like for a shoot. Like, this guy is absolutely ginormous. He's a monster of a man. And I'm like, he's like, this is your guy. And I was like, oh, Jesus God. Oh, God, okay. Okay. And then, he proceeded to chop the living hell out of me. My chest was bleeding. It was like painful to watch. Like, my family watched at home and they were like, oh my God, like, you got your ass beat. I was like, yeah, comes with the territory sometimes. But yeah, that's probably the hardest chop was my man Joshua Bishop.
Oh man, I was there.
Yeah.
I was there. Anybody that gets into the ring with Josh Bishop, I'm scared. Okay. Yeah. Like, even like, I was talking about Kyle and King before this podcast, and like, he was one at BLP, and I was like, oh man, I was like, once he got in there, I was like, this poor kid's gonna die now.
Yep. Yeah. He was, the way he picked me up, he gave me like a whirly bomb. Like, he picked me up over his shoulders and spun me. And I'm like, I was at that time like 180 pounds. I'm 6 foot tall. The fact he was able to chuck me like I was like a piece of paper was So impressive. Dude's a freak of nature. He's
Oh
huge.
man, that's so great.
Yeah.
Let's see, more love into the chat. Thickwitch says Radix is also a monster of a man. Rosie said he's my favorite. Love you guys. Thank you. Bob also wants to know, what is one person have you had the most single matches with?
Most singles matches, honestly, off the top of my head, I'm thinking Eddie Hawkins. I've wrestled Eddie Hawkins so many times at this point that I could probably wrestle him blindfolded. Eddie yeah, Eddie had my first match. My first actual match on a show was Eddie Hawkins. I'm gonna be wrestling Eddie hopefully again soon. So yeah, I've wrestled that guy like so many times. He's a blast. He's such a good dude. I love Eddie.
Awesome. So good. So good. Okay. So, all right. So let's talk a little bit about the Sean Henderson shows a little bit. We love Sean here. You know, I love you, Sean. I know you're listening. You're amazing. You're such a good person. You know, you put on really dope shows. I love it, you know. So like when I can get my butt there, I try to get my butt there as much as I can. Even like the over 2-hour drives lately, it's been more. That's why like a lot of people really haven't been seeing me because I've been dreading the freaking 3.5 hours for a 2-hour drive. And I'm like, I don't want to do this. I'll support
I
from
blame
home.
you.
I was like, I'll support from home. I love you guys too much. All right. So talk a little bit about, you know, maybe, you know, again, like this might be like a first time that if somebody's listening to this interview, talk about Sean, talk about the promotion, you know, tell us a little bit.
So Sean and I friendship, like he is such a good dude. So pretty much how it started was he hit me up to do Weekend at Sean's in 2020. It was February. I was wrestling Michael Zamados, and to say I was like burnt out from wrestling at that point, like I was just, this is like the point where I was like being Ryan Radix, but not really know who I was type of deal. And I remember showing up to the building and I was so upset. The pandemic was just starting and I was being immunocompromised because not only do I have ITP, but I later found out I have lupus as well. So I was like, you know, I got to be careful. The pandemic was starting. I was dreading just wrestling. I got cheated on. I didn't have a place to really live. I was between houses. My life was just crumbling. And I ended up being like, after the match, I took my gear off and said, thank you, Sean, but that was my last match. I'm done. Like, I'm never going to probably wrestle again. And that was it. And Sean just kept hitting me up and just kept like, just being a friend. Like, wasn't even talking wrestling. Just like wanted to check in on me. Like, we went to Pizzeria Uno and like split like a deep dish pizza. Like, we just became good friends. And then at that time also, you know, Grant tragically passed away. Right. And he was also going through his stuff. He was very upset. I was very upset. So we really did like lean on one another. In a time of uncomfortableness, we became comfortable with one another. Like we started talking every single day, sometimes multiple times a day, hanging out all the time. And that friendship really built off of just the two of us being so hurt. And, you know, then it started getting closer to like May of 2021. And like he's like, hey, you want to come back to wrestling? I was like, dude, no, like I'm good, thank you. And like I kept declining. And then it was around the birthday show, and Dylan McKay had like 2 or 3, maybe even 4 guys he was supposed to wrestle, like advertised, that just couldn't make it for injury or whatever reason. And then like he's like, dude, you gotta wrestle McKay. And it was like 2 days before the show, and I was like, dude, I'm not doing this. But like McKay asked me, and I was like, all right, fine, I'll do it as a one-off. And I did it. And like I said, like I'm very from the way I guess I was trained, I feel certain way about like my body, a certain type of way about the way I work, my mindset, because I am different in a lot of different ways than a lot of wrestlers. I think very differently, and I don't really think I didn't think there was a spot in wrestling for me. So I did the match with McKay, and I was like, okay, you know, it happened, cool. I get to the back, and like even Matt was like, that was my favorite Dylan McKay match. Too Cold Scorpio goes up to me. He's like, I wish more guys in the back watch how you work. Like the way you work is the right way to do it. And in that moment, like my mind started turning, and I was like, maybe there is a place for me here. Maybe I do belong. Like, you know, I can do this. And I started getting that confidence back, and I was like, all right, one more match. And I wrestled Sean. And I was like, all right, well, then me and McKay one more time. And it just kept kind of snowballing. I had so much fun. I fell in love with wrestling again. Sean is someone that like understands me, understands my purpose, understands the way to utilize me in appropriate ways. And I'm so appreciative of everything Sean did for me, because if it wasn't for Sean, I actually probably wouldn't be here right now. So I'm very thankful for Sean as a friend, as a promoter. Yeah, that's my dude for sure.
Yeah. Oh, love that. Love that. Oh, so much. All right. So let's see what else we got here. We got fan tweet from Good Cop, Bad Cop.
Okay.
Okay, so he goes, with Ryan being an anagram of nary, which means not, what can you not do in wrestling yet that you want to do?
What can I not do in wrestling? Okay, what can I not do in wrestling that I want to do? I mean, I do wrestle with the idea of like, man, I can probably do this. I should probably go out there, take other bookings, do other companies, and it's a mixture of the confidence, the work schedule, the health. It's I've been in wrestling since 2014, and I see what wrestling's all about, and I'm like, I like enjoying it from a distance sometimes, and not really being around it, doing it. But like probably the thing I want to do is like I'd want to branch out. I'd want to do more companies. I'd want to wrestle outside of the H2O building because I spent most of my career inside of that warehouse. And yeah, it'd be cool to like go to an actual arena, maybe like a stadium or something. Because like when I look back, I would like to see like a cool picture or a good video of like me.
Somewhere else.
Somewhere else, like that probably would be the answer to the question is like go somewhere else. But like I said, I have quite a few limitations. But
Sean
who
needs
knows?
to run at the showboat now. Like
I've been telling him. Come on, Sean.
Come on, Sean. Let's run at the showboat. I think it would be
go.
awesome with the way that like he runs like a lot of his matches. I think it would really draw. Like
for sure. I always compliment Sean in the way. I'm always a big fan of when it comes to wrestling shows, giving something for everybody. I always believe in that mindset, having something for everybody can enjoy on the show.
Yeah.
Like my friends, believe it or not, they don't like the death matches. They don't really care, but they love Stan Styles.
Right.
Love them. They love Stan Styles. They love, what's the whipped cream guy? The guy that I'm like, dude, come on. Like they love him. They love Stan Styles. So like that is for them. They love that kind of stuff. I feel like way Sean books is like, he has like a mixture of the GCW guys, the H2O guys. Too Cold Scorpio will wrestle like whoever, whatever.
you got Matt DeMorris. That's
Matt
like
DeMorris comes back. Like he's doing something right, and I really am proud of how far his promotion come, and I like to see how much it can grow. I mean, I'll be by his side every step of the way. Either as a wrestler or behind the scenes helping him, whatever I can do.
Mm-hmm. And I always say this too, like when I go to the shows, I love that he's like outside, like watching. I think I've like recorded, like I've recorded him like watching the matches, like him like enjoying it, and that's like one of my like favorite things. Like when I go to promotions, and maybe not like a thing that people like normally pick up on, but I pick up on it because I feel like it's very important. So like I'll kind of just take like a look around the room, like wherever promotion I'm at. But like Sean, he's like always there,
right there.
and I love it. Like he's enjoying it, and like even like when what was the match with Too Cold Scorpio and who was it? He was like, Tiff, can you throw streamers? I was like, I got you. I was like, I got you. I got the streamers right here for you.
Yeah,
like,
sometimes I'm like in the back and I'm like, I have to ask Sean a question. I'm like, where's Sean? Where's Sean? Looking at where's Sean? He's out there. And I look on the the screen. He's out there like this. I'm like, Sean, no, I need to talk to you, bro. Get back here. He's out there watching the matches.
I'm dead. It's so great. But Sean did send me some fan questions for you to answer.
Oh,
so here we go.
Okay.
So this is like the perfect moment that we're rolling in with questions for, since we're talking about Sean. So is your ears ringing like a lot right now, Sean? All right. So his first question is, if Ryan had to list a top 3, who's top 3 indie wrestlers of the year for 2022?
Top 3? My man Sean. Oh man. Top 3. Oh man. I can't even tell you. Top 3. Say I don't want to come across as biased, but like of course Mathers comes to my mind. Mathers is killing it. But again, I might be biased there. Nah, screw it. I'm gonna go lock in Mathers because I feel like he's everywhere. Who else is just Jordan Oliver? He's always, I feel like that's kind of like a cop out answer because that man's always grinding, always killing it. Who's the third? Do I want to give it to McKay or is that going to stroke his ego? Maybe
don't stroke his ego. No. Give it to Ryan.
I'm locking in Ryan Redfield. In spite of McKay, I'm not saying his name. That's the list.
I'm sorry. I love Dylan. Everybody knows, like, I love fucking Dylan. Like,
I love him too, but I can't do it. I can't. He'll never let me live it down if he hears that one. He won't.
There's a lot of great wrestlers, which we'll get into. I'm gonna pause on Sean's question because of the question.
He has more?
Yeah, he's got more because of the question that just came into the chat from Bob. He goes, "Will we ever see you wrestle at Wrestling Open at the world famous White Eagle?" I like that.
Honestly, that is a bucket list of mine. I do, and like I do get hit up from like Reed and Mathers. They're like, dude, just cop in the ride, come drive up. And I'm like, I don't want to impose. Like I don't, I'm just weird with that kind of stuff. Like I'm just like, I didn't really get invited. I don't really. Hey, can I go up there and get a match? Like I just feel so weird doing that kind of stuff. But I would definitely not be opposed to doing it for sure. I would do it.
I think that like the way that you wrestle, and I know like Bob's listening to his podcast, and I know he's not familiar with you. So like the freaking roster up at Wrestling Open's insane, and like the New England scene, man. So I love the fact that a lot of the H2O students are going up to the New England scene now. So like the mesh is like making me go nuts because
for sure.
There's such quality. Like I could see you wrestling like BRG or Desmond Cole, who I learned from freaking Sean, because I didn't know who Desmond Cole was, who's from New York, which makes it even worse for me. I'm like, who is this guy? And I was like, now I love, or like a Gabriel Sky or something. So like, there's a lot here. And
I'd for sure be down. I would like, I'm familiar with Gabe Sky, Desmond Cole. Like they're awesome. I'd love to get in the ring with those guys, especially at Wrestling Open.
Yeah. So I think you should get into the car because I'm all for it. I think you should oppose, okay? Like oppose and just do it, because I will be very happy if you go out there. And I know like these fans out there, need to see more, because even like I've been waiting for Dylan to go up to Wrestling Open, and like because I was like talking so much to some of the fans about Dylan, and then the people were like, okay, I know this Dylan because Tiffany keeps talking about Dylan, and then he finally got up there, and then it was like, and I was telling the fans, I was like, make sure you go see Dylan. I was like, make sure is that you could go tell him that I sent you. So like I'm gonna do the same. So when you go there, you let me know, because then I'm gonna go tell the fans to go bother you.
That's gonna knock off my bucket list. I mean, the thing I said I can't do in wrestling is like go travel other places. So I guess it'd be knock two birds with one stone.
Yeah. So and I know that they have like the before to try to like get on to the shows and stuff like that, and then all the seminars. So it's like a nice thing up there. So Bob said he would like to see you in World Class Channing Thomas. Let's go.
Okay. All right. Yeah, for sure.
See? So this opened up a lot of worms here. All right. Let's go back to Sean's question. All right. So his next one, there's a couple. So he goes, this question carries a lot of controversy whenever it's discussed, but who's his pick for best deathmatch wrestler in the world? Ooh. Okay.
My man asked this question. I was just at his house like last week, and he asked me this question, like on his couch. Like he literally asked me this question. He
probably forgot that he asked me to ask you.
Oh my god, I was just with him. But anyway, I told him. I think Matt Tremont. I love the storytelling. That's my kind. I at first wasn't too familiar with deathmatch wrestling, but through watching it, I began to appreciate it more, and I definitely appreciate more of like the storytelling elements in deathmatch wrestling as opposed to just like smash and bash. So yeah, I'm locking in Tremont.
Yeah. Oh man, there's so many. There's so many. All right, let's see. His next one is, he goes, of all the unique people who've made appearances or come back in SHP, Matt DeMora's, Too Cold Scorpio, Tin Dunce, Ruckus, Shannon Moore, etc., who's your favorite that you've watched or interacted with?
Oh, he knows. See, he knows the answer to this question.
Did you like do this while he was with you, Sean?
No,
like he must have like messaged me while he was with you.
we talk about it all the time. He knows the answer. It is none other than Too Cold Scorpio. That is my dude. I absolutely love Too Cold Scorpio. Like I'm so happy to see him get the resurgence of his career he deserves, because that man is incredibly talented, and not like. Listen, like if you're a great wrestler, that's really cool. But if you're a great person and a great wrestler, to me, like I love you. Like Too Cold Scorpio, like he's the most down to earth, awesome human beings. I have had the pleasure of talking to that man several times. He like, for the match of me and McKay, actually, the Loser Leaves Town, hardcore match, whatever we did. He went out of his way to watch that. Like he sat after he already wrestled. He sat out there and watched me wrestle. Like he's the man.
They're fighting in the chat, saying that they're the biggest fans of you.
Who are these people? Who is it?
The names are Thick Witch and Hey It's Rosie. So they're fighting about who's the biggest fan. Just like, you guys are funny. All right. On Sean's last question, he goes, is there anyone that you think fans should keep their eye out for being one of the next big deals in wrestling?
Ooh, I like that question. The next big thing in wrestling. Honestly, it might just be the guy I'm stepping in the ring with in a couple of days, Reed Walker. He's ahead of his time. I wish I was half as good as him at only being in wrestling for like a year and a half or whatever it is. He's insanely talented. So, I feel. I mean, I only really watch indie wrestling of like my friends and people I know, and for something I really got to look out for. But yeah, I feel like I'm just going up to the H2O guys because that's what I'm familiar with. But
Right.
I'm super impressed with Reed Walker, so I'm gonna go with him.
Yeah. Oh man, watching him is insane, and like listening even Cody from NFW, and we were talking about Reed, and you know he's like so impressed. Like I have too. Like it's just nuts. Like watching because here was again. I remember his first match, like debut, Tremont, you know, and then
Right.
to watch him be like, you know, when I first saw him, I was thinking like college wrestler, right?
Right.
Like that high school, college wrestler, you know, that's like what I was getting off of him. So to like watch him, yeah, I love all types of wrestling or whatever like that. I really love like what he was doing in the beginning and stuff. Like not that I'm taking anything away, so don't take it that I mean it like that, anybody. So because like he's just amazing to watch like what he grew into. So then actually when I went up to one of the wrestling opens and see him start doing flippy shit, I'm like, wait a minute.
Yeah, where's this
I'm
come from?
confused. I was like, where am I? I was like, I know I'm at open, but like, I'm kind of confused right now. I was like,
Right.
what is this flippy shit going on? That's not what I'm used to at Reed. But it's
Stepping it
nice.
up.
But it's nice to watch that adapt, I guess, really, right? Like for different situations, for different
Yeah,
places.
for sure.
So I really love that. So, Tush, okay, I'm kind of confused about this question because I think I'm not as familiar, so I'm going to ask him what he said. He said, hey guys, what's your opinion on the recent back and forth between Eddie Herm and Tushman P. Az? What is that? I don't know, regarding Connor, but what is that? I don't know.
Yeah, I'm gonna need some more.
Yeah, you got to give us a little more context on that because I don't know what's going on. So, but anyway, okay, so let's move on. You could give us a little bit more than, you know, we can comment on that. So, all right, so do you have any pre-match rituals?
Honestly, I guess I didn't really think about it until you said it. I'm not the most religious person, but I do believe in like every time like in Gorilla, I freak out for like a couple seconds. I'm like, this is about to get real, so I like say a prayer. I wish for the best for me and my opponent. Have a fun, safe match, and like to be honest, I don't know if it's working, but so far I've knock on wood because I am wrestling this week twice,
Yes.
but. Yeah, so far so good. Like I've fortunately never hurt anybody. You know, I shouldn't even talk like this out loud, but I haven't hurt anybody. I haven't gotten hurt.
Oh, you better knock on wood right now.
I'm knocking on the wood. I'm knocking on the wood right now. Cause yeah, but like that's my ritual is like before the match. I don't listen to music. I like to just stay calm, stay in the moment, and like just hope for the best, pretty much.
So let's see, chat wise. Let's see. There's a lot going on. All right, so they're talking about the poster that was made for the Sean show, and that they're
Okay.
hoping that you'll take a picture with them, which we all know. Like,
Yeah. With those posters are sick. I like
I
them.
know they're cool. Like I love like Sean making all those posters. So
Oh, he's the man. Yeah,
Yeah.
It's like my birthday, and my birthday's in 2 days. It's on the 27th when I'm wrestling. And he's like, yeah, I'm gonna do I'm gonna do a whole birthday celebration for him. Like, Sean, you know how to do
Aw.
all that. Like, but it's very nice of him.
Yeah.
It's very sick.
oh,
But yeah.
that's so sweet. I love it. I know.
Yeah.
I want a poster. You get a
They're
poster.
sick.
You get a poster.
Yeah, everyone gets a poster.
But yeah, so happy early birthday. They're
Thank
saying
you.
happy birthday into the chat. So
Thank you,
oh
thank
wait,
you.
so since your birthday's coming up here, okay, so let's go with this so that they know to bring you stuff for your birthday.
Oh, yeah.
Okay, so like, what is the favorite? We're gonna go with candy.
Candy. Ooh, honestly, I'm a big sucker for Reese's. I'm such a sucker for that chocolate peanut butter combination. You can't go wrong with it. I think it's like top tier. I have a really, really bad sweet tooth. So if you give me candy, I will eat it in 2 days. Like, do not tempt me. Chocolate covered pretzels.
Oh my God, we're best
The
friends now. We're besties.
Really?
We're besties. That's it. We're like besties. they have to be the real chocolate covered pretzels, not this bag crap.
Yeah,
okay,
so what
like
kind?
no, like they need to be hand dipped. Like I'm being bougie, okay?
Yeah.
Like they need to be
Yes.
at the chocolate star and like hand dipped in
Oh,
like
yeah.
you know like the plastic bags. That's what it is. Not this freaking let me go to CVS and get a you know $1 coupon off or whatever like that and buy this you know processed crap. No.
Yeah.
Like,
So that being said, yeah, you could say happy birthday by delivering me chocolate pretzels. Only the bougie kind. None of that store-bought nonsense.
yes, I'm all here for it.
Yes, let's go. I'd be hype.
Damn, you really got
So-
some fans in chat. Rosie said, I love Reese's. That's why I'm your biggest fan. Damn. Like,
I guess the Reese's won them over, not the matches. See,
okay. More questions in the chat. Damn, Bob, you really on a roll here. You're really like right here. He goes, okay, what is your favorite move in professional wrestling and what is your most disliked move? That's a good one.
ooh. Okay, so my favorite, I love doing front flips. I love doing the tope. I love just something about just diving over the top rope and front flipping onto people. Like that. it's
Thank
just-
you. Okay,
it's
like
great.
I'm always getting dived at. I am the dive section,
Yes,
right?
yes, you are.
I am the
Yes.
dive section.
You are. You are. I listen. I don't. I like doing the topes, but I have smashed my head on the concrete of that building not once but twice and got concussed.
Ugh.
So I kind of stopped doing it. It was in a
Right.
lumberjack match too. You believe that? Like a lumberjack
Yeah,
match with like
yeah.
13 people catching me. No one caught me. They smacked my head on the concrete. Anyway, I digress. I did it. I do the tope again at H2O because I'm like, yeah, you know what? I've matured. Let's see if it still pays off. So I say either the tope or the swanton bomb. For whatever reason, as a kid, that's obviously like the coolest move ever.
Yeah.
I tried doing it. I don't know if you remember. I tried doing it a couple matches. I ended up like smushing Redfield. Like the red man. Like that was I felt terrible. Like I'm not gonna practice. It's a front flip. It's
Yeah.
how hard can it be? I've seen Jeff Hardy do it 1,000 times. So I get on the top rope and I like go for the swan top. Oh man, I smushed him. Like I heard him go. Ugh! I was like, I'm so sorry. But that's my favorite move. Love the sliced bread.
Sliced bread's nice.
Least favorite move, honestly, my least favorite move to take is the Alabama Slam. I please
Yeah.
do not call that. Please, like that. Do not call the Alabama Slam. That motion of like going here and getting slammed and knocks the wind out of me every time. Please do not call that. Or like honestly, in terms of like the stupid moves, I hate the Russian leg sweep. I'm sorry. I think that I don't get it. I'm never gonna call it in my matches, but. I don't know. Just give me a lariat. Knock me down with a lariat or something. Don't give me this. I don't know.
Okay. All right. So, all right, let's go with this. Okay. So, again, we have a lot of up and coming wrestlers. I know we talked a lot about H2O. But is there anybody like on your radar, outside of that H2O building, could be out in New Jersey even, that's caught your interest that you're like, damn, like I really need to work this person. This is on my list.
Billy Starks is one. I think she's incredibly talented. Honestly, like Desmond Cole was on my I have like a notes list of because it's just in case Sean ever hits me up and he's like, yo, someone called out, who you want? I have like Desmond Cole on my list. I think Gabe Sky is fantastic. Because I'm friends with Isaac from VXS, and I would go to VXS shows to hang out or whatever. And Gabe Sky's always there, always put on a great match.
Yeah.
Oh my yeah, he
That's
loves
his guy.
Gabe Sky. Yeah, those three come to mind. Honestly, you're probably never gonna guess my dream match. Someone that I will be disappointed if I stop wrestling and don't get a chance to wrestle this guy. It's a long way away, but Sean swears one day it's gonna happen. So if it does happen, I want to wrestle Matt Cardona really bad.
Oh, okay.
He's not an up and coming guy, but
yeah.
that's my dream match for sure.
Yeah.
Matt Cardona.
Hey.
Always been a fan. I don't know.
You never know, right? Like it's so wild, the possibilities that's happening. So never say never. And I feel like if anybody can make this happen, Sean's gonna make it happen.
Sean will make it happen. So yeah,
Sean's
definitely.
gonna make it happen. Man. Okay, so I want a 3-way, maybe a 4-way. You, Ryan Redfield, Gabriel Sky, Desmond Cole. Let's
I'm
fucking go.
Sean, where you at? Sean, you listening? I got my next match.
Hello.
Yeah.
Is this thing on?
Yes. Come on, Sean. You hear me? I know his ears are ringing.
I love it. I've seen, actually, it's funny because Desmond and Gabriel Sky just had a title match at Remarkable Friday. I was just there, and it like blew the roof down. Like, these two are incredible.
Oh yeah.
So like
I've
been seeing them so much lately. Like, much love to them. So good. But yeah, you guys could check out those interviews too if you guys are very interested, if you're not familiar, or you just want to like listen to them. I've interviewed both of them. They're such great people over there. So, okay. So let's do a fun question. So let's do something that's very dear to my heart. Wrestling with positivity. So very important to me onto this channel. So with all the negative that we get like into the world of wrestling and, social media and all that stuff like that.
Yeah.
Is there anything that sticks out to you, whether it was something that, maybe a fan's done for you, maybe something you've done for a fan, maybe like a wrestler's done for you, maybe something you've done for a wrestler, anything that like we wouldn't normally see unless you told the story?
I got a ton. I'm very fortunate. Like I said, I am so fortunate for someone that is limited in his bookings, someone that's very selective in his bookings. The fact that Matt is as open as he is. Matt doesn't have to do anything for me, honestly. Like, Matt owes me nothing. Right. I wrestle at his building for a different company. Mm-hmm. But the fact that he is as big of an advocator as he is for me, he openly tells Sean how much of a fan he is of me as a wrestler, as a person. Like, that means a lot. I don't know if you remember, like, when I was wrestling Mathers, he like promoted my promo for no reason. Wasn't on the show, wasn't his company. He like promoted my promo and like said how good of a promo it was, and that meant a lot to me. Everything Matt's done, everything Sean's done for me. Pretty unknown story, but Danny Gallagher. Danny is one of my close friends. Actually, at OTW, it was me, Steve Sanders, Jimmy Lloyd, and Dan Gallagher. And we still are friends. The four of us are still rocking together. But when I came back to wrestling, it was my return match. I was wrestling Danny in the main event of, like, I think it was like the second ever Undiscovered for H2O. And I told him, like, I was drawing like 20 people to the show. Like, I was drawing a big crowd. And I was like, you're wrestling in H2O. Like, I want you to go up. Like, why would I go up? There's no reason. He's like, yeah, whatever. He's like, well, what do your friends and family think? I'm like, oh, they all know you're going up. He's like, no, you're going up. I'm like, no, I don't want to go up. And he ended up telling Preacher, Phineas James, he's like, oh, who's going up? And then Dan was like, oh, Ryan is. And he's like, no, you're wrestling this week for H2O, so you're going up. I was like, okay, no problem, whatever. During the show, like, it was like halfway through intermission, Dan Gallagher made it a point to like go to Preacher and Matt and be like, hey, listen, a surprise roll up out of nowhere is going to pop, his friends and family in the main event, send him happy. Can he go up? And they're like, yeah, if you want to do that, go up, go for it. So the fact that he like went above and beyond, like, there's a difference between just doing like bare minimum and then like taking the extra mile. The fact that he did that for me, yeah, that will always mean a lot. Jimmy Lloyd has done so much for me. I mean, I bag on the man as much as the next guy. I love Jimmy to pieces. Been friends with him since 2014. That's my best friend, and he's done so much for me. It's, in terms of getting me in like contact with like Brett and Isaac, and I'm sure Tremont really liked me because of my affiliation with Jimmy, and then like all the things Jimmy's done for me. So I would say, you wouldn't think it. I'm sure you think like Jimmy Lloyd, but no, Jimmy Lloyd has actually has done a lot for me. So those are some things that come to my mind in terms of like people really going above and beyond for me. And of course, I don't want to seem like, oh, I just take. I like to, I give as well. Like I told you earlier about, like, I like to help Sean and Redfield and Reed and McKay, Mathers, whoever it is, in terms of not only wrestling. I like to help them outside of the ring, and I'm sure if you talk to any of them, they would say that. And I think Mathers did, and like after I beat him in SHP, he was like, "You did so much for me outside the ring." And to me, like, yeah, what I can do for you in the ring is cool, but really, what I care about is what I can do for you outside the ring. If it's, helping you with life, helping you with school, helping you with a job, relationships, friendships, whatever it is, I like to be the guy that like those guys can go to and like looked up to like an older brother for sure.
Oh, I love that. Oh man, I love all you guys in the chat. Ash, what's going on? Thank you for all the love. She goes, I fancy his hats on the wall. You
like them?
Yeah.
See, I just kind of throw them up there. Like I get this. Like they're really in no particular order whatsoever, but I'm glad you like them. They're just kind of boring. Like, I wouldn't even pull any of them out. None of them are worth sharing. They're pretty boring, but I appreciate it.
Marissa, what's going on in the chat? She goes, Ryan, who's the strangest wrestler you know?
Wait, Marissa asked this? As in,
Yes. Yes.
Okay. So she, once again, you know the answer to that question, but do I want to say it? Like, we're both, I know she's thinking it. I'm thinking it. But you know, I'll it's all out of love. It's all, I'll say it because I do love him. My boy Jimmy. Jimmy, I love you, dude. I love you. But I have stories about Jimmy that I will never share. That's my boy, though. That's my boy. I do love him, but no one makes me laugh harder than Jimmy Lloyd. That's for sure. He's a character.
Jimmy is everywhere. Right?
Everywhere. Like,
you go to the showboat, and it's like you turn around, and there's Jimmy. And it was like, wait a minute, I'm confused. Because, like, was it Jimmy over there? Or like,
well, two things, actually. One, I couldn't agree more. Not only does he do that at wrestling shows, because he did do that at H2O on Underrated. I don't know if you saw, like, setting up for the match coming up on Halloween. He just showed, I'm like, Jimmy, weren't you in Mexico? He's like, I was. I'm here now. I'm like, well, what are you doing here? I'm like, he's like, can I come out in your segment? And I was like, no, you can't. This is not a circus. You can't just come out. He's like, well, I'm going to come out with a bag of weed. And I was like, okay. And so he did. But it's not only just wrestling shows. I'm not even joking. And Marissa can speak for this. Sean can speak for it. This man will just show up to my house. He did it last week. He just shows up. Like one time I was like, he's like, what are you doing? I was like, dude, I'm about to go to bed. I'm so tired. He's like, oh, come on, I'll hang out with you. I was like, nah. He's like, well, I'm here already. I was like, you're not actually here. And they opened my front door, and I was literally laying in bed looking at him like, can I help you? He's like, I want to hang out. Like, he does it everywhere. Like, it's not just wrestling shows. This man will just show up to your house.
I love that.
Oh
my God.
I love him.
I can't. All right, here's another question in chat. Bob says, if a wrestling ring was a piece of food and you could take a bite out of it besides Reese's, what would it be? And what part of the ring would you take a bite out of?
So, coming on this podcast, I didn't think that would be a question. Wait, so the question is, if the wrestling ring was made of food that isn't chocolate or pretzels, what would it be?
Not Reese's. Not Reese's.
Not Reese's. And what would I take a bite out of?
Like, what part of the ring would you take?
I mean,
this is some interspecies shit. This is like...
And, like, the sad part is my brain went immediately, like, you know what? Sometimes the ropes are red and they look like licorice. So, like, maybe I take a bite of the licorice. I don't know. Not if it's the black ropes, though, because that means it's black licorice, and I stay away from the black licorice.
I'm crying.
You can't catch me dead with the black licorice.
I can't. Well, that was entertaining.
Did I answer the question? Like, did I?
Yeah, I think you answered the question. I will accept that. Oh my God, I can't. My stomach, it freaking hurts. All right. All right. So outside of wrestling, what are some things you like to do?
I love to stream. This is like my streaming setup.
Yeah.
Like I have this whole thing. I stream a lot of Nintendo games on my Twitch account. Love doing that. I love hanging out with my girlfriend. Love hanging out with my friends. It's like I said, the people I've mentioned, I think throughout the entire podcast are the people I talk to on a almost like multiple times a day type of thing. So I talk to them all the time. Pretty busy with work. So like outside of work, I love hitting the gym. Like I love the gym. It's something I never thought I would say in a million years. I like threw up at the very thought of going to the gym. Now I can't stay away from the gym. So yeah, if I'm not wrestling, I'm not working. I'm either hanging out with somebody, or I'm streaming, or I am working out.
Oh, plug your Twitch channel so if people want to come bug you.
Yes. Twitch.tv/Ryan Radix. I play it on a Nintendo game. It's not like, I don't play Halo or Call of Duty, but I stream a lot of like Super Smash Bros. And I don't know, whatever kind of like Zelda, Mario game. That's kind of I'm like a big kid, honestly.
No, people love that shit, I
know.
Shit, give me Dr. Mario. I'll be sitting for the fucking television for hours, forget it.
I'm like the biggest Sonic fan. Like
man.
I'm such a Sonic fan.
Yeah, I like it. Go give him some love. So I'm sure like some of the people that are in the Twitch that, looking for you to
Yes.
Go follow his Twitch.
Go follow me on Twitch.
You follow it. Go ask him for some photos and, bring him some chocolate covered pretzels, some bougie bougie ones. Okay, I'm trying to help you out here. Bougie ones, not that CVS crap. Okay,
no
bougie.
Yes, please.
Listen, you have to tell me, like, if this happens, that, like, because it's happened on this podcast where wrestlers would talk about something, and I've had messages. Tiffany, you're never gonna believe what happened. This fan brought me so and so, and I'm like, get the fuck out of here.
Oh, if it happens, we're getting a picture of the transaction,
please.
like the poster with one hand and then like the chocolate pretzels in the other hand, like that. I'll give them like the Triple H point, like deal, like whatever they want. I don't care.
Seriously.
Just give me chocolate pretzels.
Shout out to Ricky Smokes, because that one was funny too, because Ricky Smokes sat here and he was talking about how he's a wine snob, right? And it was the week of a chaotic show. And then I was like, well, what kind of wine? I was like, red wine, white wine, rosé. I was like, tell him, So then he had his match. I didn't get to go to the show. I had like an emergency, and I tweeted at him and I was like, did you get wine? And he was like, I did. So like I messaged him the next day and I was like, no, seriously, did someone actually bring you wine? He's like, yeah. And I was like,
that's awesome.
I was like, shit, okay. Landon Hale got Twix bars, so hope you guys are paying attention. Yeah.
Yeah, I'm gonna feel actually kind of offended if I don't get it now. I'm like, what's wrong with me? Not that hard of a request.
And I'm trying to like up the ante here with the bougie, like,
Yeah.
But if you don't have a lot of money, like, Reese's peanut butter.
I'll settle.
Yeah.
I will settle. Listen, I'll take it. I'll take what I can get, honestly.
I'm dead. Okay. Bob says, what is the hardest thing you had to give up during your journey to become a wrestler? It's a good question.
Time. My free time was the first thing that came to my mind. As like a 16-year-old kid, having to give up like a lot of high school activities, a lot of the normative prom, homecoming, and stuff. I don't know if I really missed out on prom, but I know I missed out on a lot of the football games. I missed a family vacation to Disney. Mm-hmm. I'd say like I gave that up. And that's honestly kind of a reason why I'm like a little skeptical about like taking a lot of bookings, because I feel like I gave a lot of my free time of like my high school years to wrestling. Mm-hmm. So yeah, I'd say off the top of my head, I gave up a lot of my free time. Yeah. That's probably the thing I can attribute the most.
Okay. All right. So actually, you know what? I'm going to use one of Dominic's questions, because he gave me that for a particular wrestler, and I kind of like his question because everybody's got a different answer. Okay. Dream match. Who's it with? Where is it at? Like what venue? And what is the stipulation of the match?
Matt Cardona.
Mm-hmm.
Honestly, what is the outside venue that GCW runs? It just happened with it's not the Showboat. It's like right outside the Showboat.
Yeah,
right?
because they have the one where it looks the carousel room. So they had one outside of the Showboat.
The outside. Yeah.
Oh, okay.
That one.
The outside on the boardwalk.
Yeah, I want to wrestle on the boardwalk. I want to wrestle on the boardwalk outside against Matt Cardona.
What's the step?
Something different. Nothing like I would settle for like a body slam challenge. Something like we could just work a body slam. As basic as that sounds, I know me and Cardona could make it work. So yeah, something goofy like that, because at the very least you're gonna remember it. It's not. That's what it's about. Is the moments. Yeah. When that body slam does happen, the crowd's gonna erupt.
Mm-hmm. Okay. All right. So there you have it. There you go. All right. I have two final questions for you. If anybody else has any, please feel free, drop it into the chat. All right. So like we're gearing up to the end of the year. We have 2 more months left of 2022. Any goals that you have set for yourself within those 2 more months?
So my goal at the beginning of 2022 was like, I just had in my list written down, like I had like get 300 followers on Twitch, get a promotion in my job, and I want to wrestle one big match. Mm-hmm. And like, I don't know if I could say I met that. I think it's kind of subjective in who you ask, but to me, like I wrestled Mathers, I wrestled on All I Want, mm-hmm. I'm gonna be wrestling on Colby Carino's Painted Black show. To me, those are pretty big shows. So yeah, I feel like I kind of checked that off the list. Believe it or not, it's weird that's happening this week, but I wanted to do H2O. Like mm-hmm. I was like, my goal was like, I love SHP, and if I only do SHP for the rest of my career, I'd be happy. I would not care at all. But if Matt wanted to use me and the story was right or whatever it was, like I'd be so down. So my goal is actually being met on Halloween when I will be wrestling for H2O. That to me was was my goal. So
Yeah.
I'm very happy about that.
So I have this flashed on the screen if you're watching the video version of it. So this is 8-man. So 4-on-4. Here we go. The end game, President Hawkins and Frank Benetti versus Team SHP. This is going to be fun. So
Oh, yeah.
Sean, I'm glad Sean's back in the ring. Much love. I miss him being in the ring. Dylan McKay and Steve Sanders. This is going to be a really fun match. I was really excited when this match got announced. So I'm glad that you're going to be on this.
I'm very excited. Very, very excited.
So definitely check that out. They have these girls are a little thirsty in the chat.
What? What's going on? I can't even read
You know
it.
what the funny thing is? I'm wondering if this is actual girl or it's like one of the H2O students like trolling you. You know?
Really?
Yeah, Thick Witch says, "I'll bring you the best pretzels ever if you notice me."
Oh my
So I don't know. Like I'm starting to wonder if it's one of the H2O kids made a name because that's happened.
What do you think it would be?
Declan Grant, I feel like would do something like that.
I'm like, man, you're at GCW right now. What are you doing? This podcast?
He had his match already. He was the opener.
Oh, really? Oh, he's done now. So he's done
He's
wrestling.
done.
He's like, I'm ready
He's
now.
done. He's probably like in the back smoking in the
Yeah.
back.
I got a good idea. I'm gonna go on.
I'm sorry. I'm sorry. I'm only messing with you in the chat. So all right. So my final question to you. So I think this is great because we have a lot of people that listen to this podcast, whether that they want to get into wrestling or they already started training in wrestling, because we have a lot of students up even in like Massachusetts that check out like the podcast, or even shout out to Sky, who is training also in UK and everything like that. So what's a piece of advice that you would give that inspired or amateur wrestler out there?
When the going gets tough, get tougher. It's not an easy sport. It's very challenging. What people don't talk about, everyone likes to talk about how physically demanding the sport is, but it is just as much mentally and emotionally. I would recommend, if you are not mentally and emotionally and physically capable of doing it, I would hold off until you're able to meet those requirements, because the business will swallow you up. I can speak from experience in the terms of I was 16 years old, very young, very immature, irresponsible, the whole 9 yards. And to that respect, I ended up becoming a man through professional wrestling, and that I will always be thankful for, because I was a child. But yeah, it's very challenging. You're gonna want to quit. You're gonna have days where you're gonna just end up crying, from pain, from the emotional stress, the whatever it is. But you gotta just keep on trucking through it, because it's very rewarding. It's not easy. If it was easy, everyone would be doing it.
Yeah.
So just stick with it. And I do want to give one last plug to Ryan Redfield, because he is a complete testament to that. He's someone that didn't have, just like me, we didn't have the perfect set of cards at our disposal. We had challenges we had to deal with. But through it all, we just kept pushing. My doctor looked at me in the face, told me, you can't do this. My dad looked me in the face and said, I'd rather you be a ballerina dancer. That happened. I had wrestlers telling me, dude, you're 99 pounds soaking wet. You're going to get killed out there. But by the end of the day, I wanted it. I didn't matter what everyone else was saying. I had all that kind of noise and clutter in my ears. By the end of the day, I tuned all that shit out. By the end of the day, it was this is what I want to do. I might fail. I might fall on my face and completely fail. But by the end of the day, I would know I gave it my best shot. And it's so rewarding. The friendships, the memories, the moments, all of the grandeur. I mean, I'm not even a top indie guy, but the experiences I have been so fortunate enough to have, I'll carry with me through a lifetime. The fact I get to put on one of my matches and show my kids one of these days, hey, that's what I used to do when I was younger. I'm so thankful. So truck through it. It's a bitch. It's painful, but it's well worth it in the end, as long as you stay consistent. Wow. It's coming from me, who's not very consistent. You get the point.
No, but it's great. It's great advice. So I love that. So thank you for that. Yeah. So let's go over again. So this Thursday, you're wrestling Reed. If you guys can't get down to the Sean show, definitely watch it on IWTV. It will be live 8 o'clock. So you can check that out. So I'll be watching. that, so they won't be able to come down. But I will definitely be supporting on Twitter. So make sure you guys are using the hashtag SHP Colby, right? So that's the hashtag. It's up there.
SHP Colby.
Yeah, so it's going to be a fun show. Definitely check that out. And then on Halloween, hashtag H2O Halloween. Again, you can still get tickets. You can buy them at the door. Make sure you bring cash if you're going to go there. So they only accept cash there. So, because I know I've watched people like have to leave and go to the Wawa and go get, so cash only for you guys. So again, 8 o'clock on Halloween, so take your kiddies out early, get that candy.
Oh yeah.
And watch some wrestling.
And I gotta watch some wrestling.
So awesome. Well, thank you so much for coming on here. Tell everybody where they could find you if they want to come support you.
So I have a Twitter. It is the Ryan Radix. I have an Instagram, Ryan Radix1, and then I have a Twitch, twitch.tv/Ryan Radix. Those are the places you'll be able to find me.
Awesome. Those links are in the description below if you're a little lazy. I got you guys covered. So, well, I'm looking forward to seeing you in the ring. I can't wait to see your future. What else? Hopefully we get to, Sean will get to the showboat.
One day.
One day.
I'll wrestle Cardona at the showboat. And
Yes.
It'll be awesome.
It's gonna be great. We're gonna rejoice.
Yes.
We're gonna be eating chocolate covered pretzels, you and me, in the corner.
Yes. That's what I'm looking for. Yes.
The bougie ones. If we don't have the bougie ones, I'm gonna start throwing them like
kick
streamers.
Rocks. Yes. Kick rocks. We only accept the best.
I'll throw them at Matt Cardona. Don't spin.
Yes.
Because I was at that show that everybody started throwing shit
Yeah.
at us, so he's used this shit being thrown at him. So I'll throw the shitty freaking pretzels at
Yeah,
him
throw the shitty pretzels
during
at him.
your match, pretty much. I love it.
Love it.
I love it so much. But again, thank you for coming on here and chatting with me. I'll see you obviously again backstage at another show. You guys, make sure you're subscribed to the Wrestling Corner as well. So, but yeah. Anything else that I miss for us here?
No, that'll be all. Dylan McKay sucks. Just wanted to end it on that. I had to. In case he's watching, I want to text him and be like, dude, come on. Why'd you gotta do me like that?
Damn, the salt is real here. So, but seriously, thank you guys for tuning in here. Thank you for all your questions, even the fun, wacky ones. I really love it so much. I love you guys. I'll be back next week. I haven't announced next week's yet, so make sure you're following me on all the social media platforms to see. I'm finishing up a graphic. Hopefully tonight it should be released tomorrow. So again, make sure you're following me on all the platforms. So in the meantime, stay safe, support independent wrestling, and I'll talk to you guys soon. Have a good night.